What the hell is this? It looks like every player on the list is hiding their nickname. Oh wait, never mind, that's just Gaijin messing something up again. They've duplicated the nickname in parentheses. Something's happened again. Someone once more messed with something they shouldn't have. This game's built on crutches. Touch one of them and everything falls apart. I can't seem to find Betty. Betty, where are you? I don't see him. Wait a sec. We need to lower the volume a bit. It's kinda too loud. Oh yeah, I found him. For some reason though, Betty's nickname looks normal, while everyone else has their name duplicated in parentheses. Maybe that's how they're marking bloggers now? What do you guys think about that? Though honestly, it's hard to be surprised. In War Thunder anything can happen, but I really don't get what this is. And look here, the game mode is Conquest, with just one capture point. And on almost every map with this mode, both teams have only one spawn point. Why? From my experience in battles with a single spawn, if your team gets pinned down there, you're not getting out. I don't get it. He just checked right on Pershing's marker. Maybe there was a muzzle flash or something? Alright, let's rewind and take another look. Okay, everything's clear now. We can clearly see Pershing's shot, which explains why he turned his view in that direction. Oh wow, they've reworked the bridge. You can't drive under it with a mouse anymore, so be careful when you're going under the bridge from this side. Oh shit, the American T-32. Oh my, how did you miss that? That's it, you're done. Your gun barrel's busted and now you're toast. That's Coelian, he's gonna tear you apart. Weird he didn't finish him from the front. They buffed the Coelian so hard it just wipes out everything that moves. Whoa, a Japanese STA! Look, the enemy suddenly got some vision. Just earlier, when we were watching Dollar's streams before these replays, his opponents were like blind kittens, and now, suddenly everyone's got super sight. Oh, whoa! Here's another one. Very sharp-eyed and very curious. And something tells me this guy's a cheater. But how I figured that out, I'll keep to myself. Let's just say, it's my little secret. And here's another weird thing about this T-29 player. When he was almost out of the smoke, he started acting strange. His machine gun wasn't aiming at Dollar anymore. It was firing toward the guy who ended up killing him. As for our Dollar, everything's fine so far. From what I see in this replay, he's playing fair. Even now, many players don't seem to realize the kind of threat the Coelian actually poses. Oh, come on. I literally just said Dollar's playing fair, and right away something suspicious shows up. As always. Indeed, at this point, it strongly resembles the use of an aimbot. But I'll tell you this, I've had similar moments myself when my own shot looked exactly like an aimbot. And since I know for sure that I play fair, that means other players can have those moments too. So we can mark this one as an exception, especially considering that Dollar doesn't display such behavior consistently. Of course, I could explain this situation in more technical detail, but I'd rather not, since cheaters might use that information and making them even harder to detect. Alright, here's the moment. He's checking with binoculars right at the enemy's marker, and as far as I can tell, there was nothing shown on the minimap. Okay, let's rewind and take another look. Oh, nice. Everything's fine. I was starting to worry there for a second, and I thought, damn, here we go again. Another weird coincidence with Dollar. But no, it's all good. There was a tank shot, and he just reacted to it. Here too, from his behavior it's clear. He's aiming and firing honestly. But wait a second, what am I seeing? One bomb dropped in front and the second one didn't even fall. Yet Dollar still exploded, or did I miss something? No, I saw that correctly. The bomb missed Dollar completely and went off behind him to the left under the hill's texture. When bombs clip through the ground, they either deal damage or don't, and Gaijin still can't fix it properly. And on the Battle of El Alamein map, oh man, in those sands it's just pure madness with bombs. Yeah, the Kugelblitz isn't the same anymore. They totally ruined it. It used to be a real threat to tanks and planes as long as you had some skill. But someone at Gaijin thought, let's nerf it hard. So now the belts are cut into tiny pieces, and they even reduced the APCR rounds in the armor-piercing belt. Kinda funny though, the Quilian's got 37mm guns bigger than the Kugelblitz, and yet its belt is endless. I really don't think they should have cut Kugelblitz's belt like that. They could have balanced it through barrel overheating instead. By the way, the Quilian issue also needs fixing. It's way too deadly right now. Overheating would work there too. Here again, he's checking with binoculars and aiming right at the enemy markers. But I think this is just a coincidence. I sometimes review my own server replays, and believe me, stuff like that happens there too, and sometimes quite often. There was a muzzle flash from the M56, and Dollar reacted to it. The fact that he reacted to the M46 instead of the M56, I think that's just because he checked with the binoculars in that direction, noticed some movement, and started firing there. There's something a bit strange here with how the plane got spotted, but that kind of thing happens. The aircraft was flying through an opening between the trees, so it was easier to see. The match is wrapping up, and let's sum it up. I'd rate Dollar's performance in this match as green, 8 out of 10. In my rating system, every battle is marked by a color, from green to red, depending on how fair or suspicious it looks. Green means clean and fair gameplay. Yellow, that's when there are some questionable moments, but nothing that clearly proves cheating. Orange, that's when things start looking suspicious, when the player's actions raise serious doubts. And red, that's a full confirmation of cheating behavior. Each color also has a score from 0 to 10 to show how strong that impression is. Alright, let's move on to the next replay featuring Dollar. We've got a battle on Poland, and once again, it's the Kalian, or Kolan, as Russian players like to call it. And this Kolyan is an absolute tank killer. Just imagine, its penetration is almost the same as the first Jumbo, but its rate of fire is 20 times higher. And of course I've already said that something needs to be done about this. Raising its battle rating to 7.0 didn't solve the problem at all. I'm absolutely convinced that its gun needs to overheat much faster. Right here we can clearly see Dollar aiming and firing by hand. He's not using any cheats. And you know what else I've noticed? I used to be extremely effective at taking down aircraft with this Kolyan, but now my effectiveness has dropped by a factor of 10. It really feels like Gaijin is interfering somehow and controlling how hits on aircraft register. I've noticed for a long time now that flying has become a real problem. Even when I try to fly high and bomb ground targets from altitude, I still get shot down constantly, both by tanks and anti-air vehicles. And the craziest part is how easily new players can do it. He can destroy the tanks on point C right from here, and on top of that, he doesn't even need to look for them. They're already scouted by his teammate. And it's not just light tanks he can deal with. He can go after heavies too. Doesn't matter what tank it is. Kolyan can take it out. Since he's moved into the city, let's turn on the contours of vehicles. Oh shit. Normally I'd tag this kind of behavior from Dollar as something that looks like a wall hack, but I don't think it's critical in this case. It could just be his playstyle. And to understand it better, let's keep watching him and see how he behaves in the city. Well, we can clearly hear those tanks. The one on the right near point B and the one on the left at about 10 o'clock. Both of them are easy to hear. Guys, do you see what he's doing? He's rotating his turret. He's doing that to pinpoint where the enemy tank actually is. I've noticed that War Thunder has really poor sound positioning. Until you start turning your head, it's hard to understand exactly where a vehicle is. In real life, we always hear sound with both ears. Even if something is strictly to your right, the left ear still picks up a quieter signal. For example, a sound at 3 o'clock might be 5% in the left ear and 95% in the right. At 2 o'clock, 20% left and 80% right. At 1 o'clock, 30% left and 70% right. And it's that difference that our brain uses to determine the angle without turning our head. Sure, in reality there's also a tiny timing difference in when the sound reaches each ear, but for a game that doesn't matter as much. And it's not just War Thunder. A lot of games fail at this. If something is on the right, it plays only in the right ear, and the left ear is almost completely muted. So, a sound at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock all sound the same, just to the right. Because of that, players have to rotate the camera to figure out the sound direction. And even without advanced audio tech, developers could simply lower the volume in the far ear, and sound positioning would instantly feel much more realistic. But for some reason they don't do it. Maybe a bear stepped on their ear or something. Here, he's turning his head again because he's got another enemy on the right and he doesn't really know how far that guy is or where exactly he's sitting. So he's being careful, trying not to expose himself to the right side enemy while working on this ontos. Oh shit, that's a T-29. Come on, come on, come on, aim for the gun barrel. Oh yeah, the T-29 didn't have time to aim properly, and Dollar tanked the shot. Holy crap, the T-29 died in a split second. That's how Kolyan brutally destroys even the most overpowered enemies, just completely humiliates them. Dollar dealt with that T-29 on Kolyan with zero effort, and the player who got obliterated was probably thanking Mr. Balanikov afterward and wishing him the best of health. Oh, look at that. Dollar's team is starting to turn things around. They're capturing point C, and Dollar is about to take point A. I think he might even rack up enough points for a nuke. Strange that he missed that A2D1. He was aiming perfectly. He should have hit it, but he didn't. This is exactly why I believe Gaijin is influencing aircraft hit registration. Oh yeah, Dollar takes down that cocky pilot with a clean shot. Nice work. And honestly guys, I can say this. DollarPlay is quite a skilled player. Oh, another one's coming in. Come on, show him the way to the hangar too. Oh shit. He aimed a bit lower than he should have, and all his rounds went right under the plane's belly and nearly hit the bomb. This moment is suspicious. He's following the plane through the smoke. Here comes another one. Come on, come on, come on. Oh man, he hit the wing and then tried to hit the bomb, but it didn't work. And this 2,000-pound bomb dropped behind the building and still took him out. Wow, another War Thunder bug kicked in and it automatically switched us to some other player. So, is he getting the nuke or not? Guys, he's got 2,965 points, and I think he's just a little bit away from a nuke. He needs to take a backup vehicle, and that'll be enough. But he picked a Panther. Well, if Dollar takes out a couple of tanks, he should still be able to finish the match with a nuclear strike. Yeah, he really should have taken a backup vehicle. If he stayed on Kolyan, he could have worked both aircraft and ground targets. And now, while he's driving the Panther all the way to the enemy, the match might already be over. His team grouped up nicely and crushed the opponents. Lately I've been seeing the Panther 2 without the night vision device on top of the turret pretty often, and it looks so unusual. In that state it really resembles the Panther F, only the gun barrel gives it away. And when you're playing the jumbo and you run into a Panther like that, you don't immediately realize that it can kill you very quickly. Now here's a moment that can be interpreted in different ways. Either he was heading to this exact spot on purpose and planned to catch the enemy tanks coming from their spawn, or someone on his team pinged the map telling him there was an enemy tank there, and that's why he suddenly stopped. I doubt he could have heard that T-92, his engine noise can't be fully muted, and on top of that there was a jet in the air. Right here it really looks like an aimbot, but sometimes you can fire a shot like that by hand too. And right here it looks even more like an aimbot, and to be precise, I think this is a 100% aimbot. Now I'll explain why. During normal manual aiming, the camera moves together with the crosshair, and due to perspective, all objects shift at different speeds. Nearby ones move faster, distant ones move slower. This is the natural parallax of a 3D scene. But when an aimbot is working, the camera doesn't move at all. The entire image remains completely static. Only the crosshair and the target move. There is no parallax and no movement of the surrounding environment, which makes the aiming look unnatural and flat. In this segment of the video you can see two moments where an aimbot is being used. In the first one, the use of the aimbot is brief and subtle, while in the second it lasts a bit longer. But in both cases the same thing is clearly visible. When the aimbot activates, the entire image freezes for a short moment and only the crosshair and the target move. This is a characteristic feature of an aimbot in War Thunder. Now I'll show you an example using my own gameplay so you can observe how the image moves without an aimbot and compare it to the way it behaves in Dollar's case. Take a look. When I move the crosshair, the whole picture moves along with it because that's how parallax works. Whether I move it slowly or fast, the entire scene still shifts as one piece. That's how 3D graphics normally behave. But with Dollar, it's different. The whole image freezes for a moment and only the crosshair and the target move. Everything he does next looks normal, except for one mistake. He drove into a bomb crater with the front of his tank, which tilted his upper glacis plate, and now his silhouette is very vulnerable. A skilled player would never do that, and I really don't know why he's still staying in that position, exposing himself to danger. Well, the match is coming to an end, and thanks to this battle we're starting to see a clearer picture. Some inconsistencies from the previous match now make sense and can actually be explained. It would also be good to look back and remember what happened on that April 2024 stream, where I analyzed him in server replays. I'll try to do that, and I think by the end of the video I'll share the logic behind my conclusions. But for now, let's move on to the next replay featuring the streamer DollarPlay. The next replay is the Battle of Herken Forest, and DollarPlay is once again playing the Quilian. Yeah, Kolya Nikolai, a great machine, and honestly the enemy should address him with full respect. Call him Nikolai Nikolaevich. This moment looks a bit strange, but it's most likely just a coincidence, and it's still the beginning of the match anyway. Although the second time he used the binoculars did look a bit weirder and kind of pointless. But again, it's only the start of the battle, so we don't really need to focus on these moments. I'm not going to explain this in detail, no need to give cheaters extra ideas, but Dollar's behavior here is perfectly natural, just what you'd expect from a fair player. Sure, cheaters can do this as well, but only the really skilled ones. Here he makes a strange ultra-short tap with the binoculars, and we could clearly hear a bulldog's engine running up ahead. Its sound is easy to tell apart from the French AMX. I don't know how well he distinguishes engine sounds in War Thunder, but as an experienced player, he should be able to do that. After hearing a bulldog, it would have been logical to check that direction with the binoculars, but for some reason, he only made that tiny flick, and that's weird. Alright, let's see what he does next. He knows he has two tanks on his left, so what does he do? For some reason he ignores them and drives out toward the tanks on the right. Why expose himself in such a dangerous position? And if he knew there was a bulldog on the left, he should understand that the bulldog could have scouted him. In that situation, it would have been better to push forward and finish off the AMX. Here, Dollar looks through the binoculars and immediately spots a tank, but this moment is easy to explain. And here everything's fine too. He saw that tank earlier, and this is a default position. He also quickly measured the distance using the optical rangefinder that the Panther II has. Here we have a moment that looks very similar to an aimbot. Of course, you can land a lucky shot like this manually. It happens. But what's strange is that Dollar hit the far right side of the turret. With manual aiming, that's much harder to do. The aim usually stays closer to the center. Alright, let's see how he performs on the anti-air. The Kugelblitz is an excellent anti-air vehicle. Right here it looks very much like aimbot usage. It was especially clear when the enemy was already destroyed and Dollar's gun seemed to stick to the falling aircraft. Here's something strange. Dollar heard the aircraft flying behind him and turned around, but not toward the sound. He turned toward the enemy marker. In this moment it really looks like he's tracking enemy aircraft based specifically on their markers. Try repeating his actions. First he follows the Tempest, then switches for a split second to the Bearcat, then goes back to the Tempest, and suddenly jumps to the Key 100, which at that moment was completely hidden by the smoke of a burning tank. You could say Dollar noticed the Key 100 earlier before it went behind the smoke, but in that case he wouldn't have been able to reacquire the Tempest in his sights. In other words, at the moment when he returned to firing at the Tempest after the Bearcat, he physically could not have spotted the Key 100 with his peripheral vision. The Key 100 was down to the right. You can only see the Key 100 if you stop looking at the Tempest, or if there's a bright marker on it. Without a marker, that aircraft is impossible to notice. And despite that, he spotted the Key 100, aimed at it, but then for some reason just dropped it. Alright, it's time to draw some conclusions. By the time I finished editing this video, I rewatched that April 2024 stream of mine where I analyzed DollarPlay's gameplay. And honestly, that stream had a lot of suspicious moments, very similar to aimbot behavior. In this video, there are fewer such moments, but they're still there and more than enough. So I can't say that DollarPlay is playing fair. Maybe someday he'll do a public stream from a computer club, recording the monitor with a camera, and then we'll finally know for sure whether he's playing honestly or not.